The metal collar around Zara's neck burned against her blue skin as she knelt in the corner of the cargo hold. The thick chains that bound her wrists and ankles clinked softly with each shallow breath she took. Her golden eyes had long since lost their shine after 3 years of captivity aboard the Nexus trading vessel. Captain Vex and his crew treated her worse than livestock. She was property to them, a rare Celestian female worth a fortune on the black markets of the Outer Rim. Her people were known across the galaxy for their beauty and intelligence, which made them prime targets for slavers. Each day brought the same routine scraps of food thrown at her feet like she was some wild beast. A few hours of exercise while still chained, so her muscles wouldn't waste away completely. Then back to the cramped corner where she slept on cold metal floors. Her once magnificent silver hair had grown long and tangled. Her ceremonial robes had been replaced with rough sackcloth that chafed her skin. The other prisoners whispered that they were heading to Kepler Station, where the richest collectors in the galaxy came to buy exotic slaves. Zara had heard the stories of what happened to her kind in those places. Some were kept as trophies, others were forced into gladiator rings. Few ever saw freedom again. Everything changed when the human ship appeared on their scanners. Captain. Vex cursed as alarms blared throughout the vessel. The humans had been hunting slavers across this sector. For months, their warship, the Liberty, was faster and better armed than anything the slavers possessed. Amy Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Liberty watching the slaver ship try to run. Her brown eyes were hard as steel. She had been tracking this particular vessel for weeks after receiving reports of missing Celestians. The Liberty caught up easily. Their weapons locked onto the slaver ship's engines. Amy opened a channel to the fleeing vessel. This is Captain Rodriguez of the Earth Defense, Force Vessel Liberty. You are engaged in illegal slave trading. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded. Captain Vex's snarling face appeared on the screen. You have no authority here, human. This is neutral space. Slavery is illegal everywhere, Amy replied coldly. You have 30 seconds to comply or we will disable your ship. The slaver captain cut the transmission and tried to make one last desperate run for the asteroid field. Amy gave the order to fire precise shots from the Liberty, disabled the engines and weapon systems of the slaver vessel. Within minutes, Amy was leading a boarding party onto the enemy ship. Her team moved through the corridors with practiced efficiency. They had done this many times before. Each rescued, life made the dangerous work worthwhile. The crew of the slaver ship surrendered without much fight. They knew the reputation of human forces. When Earth had joined the galactic community 5 years ago, they had made it clear that slavery would not be tolerated anywhere humans operated. Amy found the cargo hold and her heart sank at what she saw. Dozens of beings from different species all chained and beaten. The smell of fear and despair filled the air. But it was the blue-skinned woman in the corner that caught her attention. Zara looked up as the human female approached. Unlike the slavers, this one moved with purpose but not cruelty. The human knelt down slowly, keeping her hands visible. Zara had learned to read body language during her captivity. This human meant no harm. My name is Amy. The human said softly, I'm here to help you. Zara's throat was dry from lack of water, but she managed to whisper, Please don't let them sell me. Amy's expression darkened as she saw the collar around Zara's neck and the chains binding her limbs. No one is selling anyone today, I promise. The human captain produced a small device that made quick work of the electronic locks. The collar fell away, first followed by the wrist and ankle shackles. Zara rubbed the raw marks on her skin, hardly believing she was free. Can you walk? Amy asked gently. Zara nodded, though her legs shook as she stood. She had not walked freely in so long that she had almost forgotten how it felt. Amy offered her arm for support, and together they made their way out of that horrible place, back on the Liberty. Amy made sure Zara received medical attention. The ship's doctor, Lisa Park, was gentle as she treated the various injuries and malnutrition Zara had suffered. She gave Zara clean clothes and showed her to guest quarters that seemed like a palace compared to her cage. That evening, Amy visited to check on how Zara was settling in. She found the Celestian woman standing at the viewport looking out at the stars. Beautiful, isn't it? Amy said, joining her at the window. I had forgotten, Zara replied. 3 years in that cage and I almost forgot what freedom looked like. They stood in comfortable silence for a while before Amy spoke again. What will you do now? Where is home for you? Zara's golden eyes grew sad. My homeworld was destroyed in the war. My family is gone. I have nowhere to return to. Amy felt a surge of protective anger. She had heard about the destruction of Celestia during the recent conflict between the Galactic Union and the rebel systems. Entire civilizations had been wiped out in that senseless war. You could stay with us, Amy offered. The Liberty has room for another crew member if you're interested. We could use someone with your technical knowledge. Zara looked surprised. You would trust me, a former slave on your ship? You're not a former slave, Amy said firmly. You're a survivor, and survivors are exactly the kind of people we need. Over the following weeks, Zara proved her worth many times over. Her people's natural intelligence and centuries of advanced education made her invaluable to the ship's operations. She quickly learned human technology and began making improvements to their systems, but, more than that, she found something she had thought lost forever. A sense of belonging. The crew of the Liberty welcomed her, not as a rescued victim, but as an equal. They shared meals and stories. They included her in their jokes and their plans. Amy watched Zara bloom like a flower in sunlight. The broken, scared creature they had found in that cage was replaced by a confident, intelligent woman who held her head high. Her silver hair regained its luster. Her golden eyes sparkled with life again. Real test came 3 months later when they encountered another slaver vessel. This time Zara volunteered to be part of the boarding party. She wanted to help free others who were suffering as she had suffered. Are you sure about this? Amy asked. As they prepared for the mission, no one would think less of you for sitting this one out. Zara checked her weapon and gave Amy a determined smile. Those people in there are living my nightmare. I won't abandon them the way I was abandoned. The rescue mission was a complete success. Zara's knowledge of slaver operations and her ability to communicate with the various alien prisoners proved invaluable. They freed 47 beings that day and sent another group of slavers to face justice that night. As they celebrated another successful mission, Amy found Zara again at the viewport. The stars seemed brighter somehow, more full of possibility. Thank you, Zara said simply. For what? Amy asked. For seeing me as a person when everyone else saw
me as property. For giving me back my life, for showing me that not all beings are cruel. Amy smiled. That's what humans do. We believe everyone deserves freedom and dignity. It doesn't matter what species you are or where you come from. Your people
are remarkable, Zara observed. In all my travels before the war, I never encountered a species quite like yours. Most civilizations talk about justice and freedom, but few actually fight for it the way humans do. We're not perfect, Amy admitted. We've made plenty of mistakes in our history, but we learned from them. We decided that if we were going to join the galactic community, we were going to make it better, not worse. Zara nodded thoughtfully. Perhaps that is why the galaxy needs humans. Your species brings something unique, hope. As months turned into years, Zara became one of Amy's most trusted officers. She led rescue missions of her own, saving hundreds of beings from slavery and other forms of oppression. The scared, broken woman in chains was now a symbol of hope herself, proof that anyone could overcome their circumstances with the right support. But she never forgot that first moment when Amy knelt beside her in that cargo hold and offered freedom. The memory of human kindness in her darkest hour remained the foundation of everything she built afterward. The Liberty continued its mission across the galaxy, fighting injustice wherever they found it. And at Amy's side stood Zara, no longer a victim, but a warrior. For those who could not fight for themselves, together they proved that the bonds of friendship and shared purpose were stronger than any chains.